alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game. Groovy.
Hello and welcome to the Sound from the Grave podcast, a podcast that talks all about horror and horror-related things. My name is Yussef.
And my name is Vania.
And let's head on down into that cellar and carve ourselves a witch.
So we are finally continuing on through our Evil Dead franchise month kind of thing. So we are now diving into Evil Dead 2. And we do have a guest on this podcast. He is also a horror movie buff and also is my boyfriend. So I'll say hello to Nick. Hey, Nick.
Hello, guys.
So yeah, we are going to be doing the rundown, just as always, give you our grave robbing facts, and also talk a little bit about the movie, also production-wise and story-wise.
Heck yeah, I'm excited for this one. 'Cause I love Evil Dead 2. I think it's honestly really hard to determine my favorite Evil Dead movie, because it's always a fight between this and another one in the franchise once we get to like the end of the Evil Dead month. But this is probably not just one of my favorite Evil Dead movies, just one of my favorite horror movies in general.
So, would you consider Evil Dead 2 your favorite, or I feel like the other one's probably Army of Darkness?
Well, like I said, we'll get to that, just because like it's always a fight between two of these, and Evil Dead 2 is one of those. So yeah, before we get into it, we definitely gotta talk about one big thing that's Universal related that honestly we weren't expecting at all.
Yeah, but I feel like there was the message that one team member found that it was the reason the whole HHN Twitter, or just theme park Twitter in general, like finally found out about it, because there was like a little letter on it that said, hey, like, this is happening and that's happening. And I was like, oh, that's unexpected. I expected one thing, but I didn't expect the other.
Yeah, I was not expecting to wake up to that news.
So if you guys haven't heard already, they are permanently closing down Shrek 4D. It has been up and running for a while. I just don't understand why it's leaving, because I'm guessing because now the Gen Zers, or the people who are growing up, are more into like Minions and that kind of thing, that Shrek is kind of just starting to head out the door, especially since it's something from our generation kind of thing. Other than that, but yeah, it's very depressing, and I'm really hoping that they keep the talking donkey.
I hope they do too. Honestly, what surprised me the most is the fact that Shrek is getting closed down, because even with this new generation, people kind of treat Shrek as a whole meme now. So I thought just for niche factor, they wouldn't have done that.
Yeah, that's fair. The fact that I don't know the actual reason why they're closing it down permanently. I heard CC knows, but I don't know.
Yeah, I'll talk to her and see what's going on with it.
Yeah, we would like to know, and hopefully it's legal tea. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But other than that, the Mummy is also closing, but it is temporarily. They are going through like a maintenance kind of thing, and unfortunately, it is going to be closed until late summer. So if you guys want to ride the Mummy now, like during HHN, now is the time to do it, because in January 2022, you will not be able to ride it for close to 7 months.
Yeah. Because they're doing some like heavy refurbishments, and I'm thinking because it's going to be closed for so long, they might change up some stuff, and probably in either the ride queue or the ride itself, like they'll update some stuff in there.
That would be nice. I hope they keep also the little Kong Easter egg that they have inside the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like the last thing that they had refurbished was like the Emotep projection, when after you go backwards and it kind of spins you.
Yeah.
Because they had changed like the animation on that, but that was like the only the last thing they had done. So it's been a while.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing that I also forgot. I know this is kind of minor, But they did release another Midnight Syndicate
Yes.
vinyl with Jack's face on it. So if you guys haven't grabbed it, I feel like well, now they're gone. But my dad was actually able to grab another one today for the Jack cover. So I thought that was really lucky on our part because we were never like fortunate enough to get the vinyls as soon as they dropped. So now we have 2 vinyls with different arts on it. It's great. I love it. But yeah, so if you guys were able to grab one, we have been lucky yet again. But you know, to those scalpers, I still want to say a big fat fuck you. So
Yep.
let us enjoy the vinyls, please. Don't be a dick.
But honestly, outside of our basic horror stuff, I think that's really all we had in terms of major news that are coming out.
Yep,
Yeah,
that's
so-
right.
So without further ado, let's dive right into Evil Dead 2. So the movie begins with narration talking about the evils of the Necronomicon, the Book of the Dead, and what it can do, and kind of how it was made, how it was, bound in human flesh and inked in blood, and it can resurrect demons and bring them into our world and that kind of stuff. So it's a really quick and easy way of telling you, like, hey, this book is bad news. Like, you shouldn't mess with it.
Yeah, remember when I mentioned the last podcast how I said I was like, doesn't even seem like it's written in blood. It's like black, and it's like basic. And in this movie, you can actually see like the writing actually turned from blood to actual like old style like blood ink. I was so satisfied with that. I was like, okay, I got my answer. I can stop watching the movie now. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Plus, we get like a really nice look at the cover. It's like I really like the way the cover looks in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, it does get a big glow up in this movie. I
For
do like
sure.
that.
Yeah, you can like see a lot more actual face details on it.
Hmm.
The way it's animated as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So just after that, we get our title card, and then we cut to Ash and Linda driving because this time it is the two of them. There's no other friends or people.
It's
But-
an interesting choice because rather than just kind of beating on the whole original plot, they just kind of give you like I feel like the first 10 minutes of the movie is kind of like a summary of what happened in the last
Yeah,
movie.
and like a really quick one. And honestly, the reason they did that is because they didn't have the rights anymore to the first film, so they just couldn't they just couldn't reuse the footage. So they were like, "Fuck it, we'll do it again."
Yep. Didn't have the rights to their own movie. I love that.
Which is ridiculous.
Gotta love the bureaucracy.
Yeah. So after this, the couple makes it over to the cabin, and it's just like a quick cut to it, and we show Ash playing the piano while Linda dances next to him, and we get to see some talent. We didn't realize that Ash could play the piano, so that's pretty cool.
We also didn't realize that Ash could be really corny and start singing for no reason.
Yeah, that's one of the things I liked about this. Like, it really fleshes out his character. Because in the first one, he was just kind of a dude. Like, there was not really much of a personality to him.
Yeah.
I guess the only thing we kind of see of him is just his relationship with Linda, and that he's like, can be romantic. But
Yeah,
yeah, I agree. There's definitely more to him here.
yeah. It's because he does crack like dad jokes in this film, which I love.
Yeah, it's kind of cringy.
But in like in a good way.
Because last time I checked, I'm a man and you're a woman.
And just like the way he says it, he's like, I'm a man and you're a woman. Last I checked.
Yeah, exactly. It's perfect.
Wow, chicken, wow.
And again, that's when we see that he gives her the necklace as well. The necklace that always shows up with the looking glass or the magnifying glass.
The more I see that necklace, the more I want it. Not gonna lie.
Honestly, as I was saying that, I was like, maybe Etsy has like a version of it that I can just get for myself, even though I don't need it.
Yeah.
Would not doubt that. I would not doubt it. Lots of fun stuff on that there, Etsy.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. So during this little romantic moment, Ash says he's going to go find some wine for them, and as he grabs it, he comes across Professor Nobi's tape recorder, and for some reason he's like, hey, let me play this that I don't know what it is. Like,
Always
why?
a good idea.
Oh, yeah. So then the recording explains how the professor, his wife, his daughter, Annie, and I don't know if it's like his assistant or like a fellow paleontologist or whatever. I just put in he's
Yeah.
an assistant because I just didn't know how else to describe him. And how they found the book in the ruins of a Sumerian castle. And that was pretty cool.
Yeah, Ed's a fellow archaeologist.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I was typing the doc while I was watching the movie, so I just didn't catch that little detail.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But they talk about how they brought the book back to their cabin to like study it further, and good old Professor Nobi reads the incantation and wakes up the demons, and they immediately attack Linda, like literally within
And
5 seconds.
and I love the fact that Nick pointed out, look, the book was actually close to the tape recorder this time, and I'm like, yo, shut up. Like really? But yeah, like it was really interesting to see like Linda, like how she kind of got possessed rather than like the other time it was kind of random like in the first movie. Like I didn't really see like the way it attacked oh, I forgot Ash's sister's name already.
Oh,
Oh my
well, it
gosh.
kind of attacks her, like, I think it's when she goes into the woods and essentially gets assaulted by the trees.
Yeah, but that's the sister, or was it
Well, yeah, and
Linda?
remember, then she stabs Linda with the pencil in the ankle.
I would say
And,
that's
and that infects her,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
'Cause
Yeah,
that,
it usually takes just one interaction and then you're possessed. It doesn't
yeah.
take much. Especially in this movie, it does not take much.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
So, when Ash hears the commotion, he goes over to check on her and realizes that she has disappeared. So the only logical explanation is, she probably went to the woods. So he goes off in search, but then she just attacks him. Very similar to the way it was in the first film, where she jumps up at him to like lunge at him, and he just grabs a
Yeah.
shovel and just decapitates her.
Pretty consistent from the last movie.
Yeah, and just this thing he does in his first film again, where he just buries her and just at this point, like the movie just blazes through everything that happened in the first one. It's like, all right, here's Dawn again.
Yeah.
I like to think that's why this is like it's more of a sequel than it is a reboot.
Yeah,
Because that scene when he at the end of the first movie, there's that scene where I'm gonna use like a bit of kind of nomenclature that I've used around with my friends when I talk about this movie. But anytime you get the point of view of the demons, we called that the evil. Yeah, as in the Evil Dead. Like it was just kind of a thing we throw around. But when the evil attacks him at the end of the first movie, that's kind of where I feel like this movie kind of picks up. It's like, oh, we've gotten a possessed Ash, and this is now moving forward with that timeline.
Yeah, it pretty much picks up exactly where the first one ended. It just has like a small prologue to it, but outside of that,
Exactly.
And the cinematography gets hella trippy in that one
yes,
too.
like when he gets like pushed across the countryside and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was really an interesting choice to do that.
Yeah, which at the same time, it's really funny to me because, he wakes up, he's possessed, and he looks freaking awesome, by the way. I love the makeup on him.
Oh, yeah, they did a great job. Fantastic.
Yeah. And then, he sees the sunlight, turns back to normal. He's like, all right, so let me head back to the cabin. He just moves, and the cabin is just there. So it's like, wait, did he move, or did he just get, like, sucked around and then thrown back by the cabin?
Yeah, because it seems like he got thrown pretty far off.
Yeah, but then he gets up and the cabin is just right there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, did he go around the world? Like, did he go that fast?
The tracking in this movie is not the best, but hey, it's okay.
I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, it is pretty funny, especially later when you realize, like what the scene we're getting up to. There's this huge discrepancy in time that like just never gets addressed.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And actually, I really like what they did here too with the cinematography, because as soon as he wakes up in front of the cabin, they use the same camera movement that they did in the first one where he's in the cellar, where it's a shot that starts with him and it goes around in 360. So it hits the cabin and then it keeps going and then it gets back to him without breaking the shot. And then that's when he realizes, okay, I need to get the fuck out of here. And he gets into this car, tries to drive away, but that's when he finds that the bridge has been destroyed.
Yep, and then he the force kind of follows him, and he starts to drive off. Was it backwards or was it forward? I forget.
He starts driving backwards first, yeah, and then he just turns around. But yeah, this is when night falls again, almost immediately.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We just had dawn.
Yeah,
and now it's
what I'm thinking is
nightfall again.
What I'm thinking is that he was just passed out in that puddle for just a really long time.
Yeah, that's what I would like to think too.
Because when he turns back into a human, he just passes out for a bit. So maybe I'm just thinking that he was just out for that long.
That would make more sense.
Yeah. But yeah,
yeah, but you do see the change of time really quick though, because when it starts chasing him, it's kind of almost still daylight, but not really. But then it's automatically nightfall. It was just damn, that took less than 0.2 seconds. Okay, it was really cool. The editing didn't throw me off this bad, not unlike the first one for sure.
Yeah, you can tell that it's been a couple years and they have some more experience with what they were doing
and budgeting.
Yeah, I think it was they had a budget of $7 million on this one.
Oh, nice.
As opposed to $300,000.
It was an interesting time.
Yeah.
For
sure. So then we have Ash speeding off, trying to outrun the evil. Actually, I like that one. I'm gonna call that the evil as well from that one. I like it.
Yeah. Call it as much for the most part. It's the evil. We're gonna make the evil a thing of the flesh later in the movie, and so I'm okay, we're just gonna call it the evil from now on. It has a name, That's always what I've talked about it with my friends. So
yeah.
Feel free to
That's
use
pretty
it.
good. Yeah, I like it. So after that, Ash crashes the car and he's forced to run back into the cabin. And again, the cinematography just keeps going because it's this amazing continuous shot as the evil just chases him around the cabin. And again, without cutting a single time, yeah.
There's actually a bit in that scene where you can kind of tell that they're filming this in the gym that they're in. Oh, they're in a junior high school or something filming this. Yeah, there's a shot of the camera kind of pans up, and you can kind of see where the set ends and where the gym begins.
Yeah,
I'm just whoops. There goes the budget.
I love the fact too that it's almost like a cartoon chase scene because at one point it just loses him, and then you just see the camera just look back and forth shit, where did he go?
It's very telling. Yeah, exactly. It's extremely telling of Sam Raimi's love for the Three Stooges.
Oh yeah.
So there's a bunch of that, the way they beat up Bruce Campbell in all the movies. But especially when you have that where'd he go moment from the evil, it's too on the nose. It's really funny.
And then he's all right, fuck it, I guess I'll come back later, and just disappears.
Yeah, it's all right, can't find him. I'm too tired for this shit. Bye. And I was okay.
Said no supernatural entity ever.
It just makes it so unique. It's normally these things will never stop, but this one's just I'll come back.
It gives it more of a personality, kind of.
It really
right?
does, yeah.
Yeah.
But then we cut to Annie, the Professor Nobi's daughter. She arrives by plane with Ed, who is the fellow archaeologist, and we make a specific point of her having extra pages from the Necronomicon, because that will play into the story later on.
Mm-hmm.
There was extra pages.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what she brings with her.
There were pages that she was trying to decipher.
Oh damn!
Yeah.
I didn't catch that when I was watching it, I guess.
Ooh.
What do you mean? What the fuck? Get out of here, Yussef. There are some things about the Bride of Frankenstein that you didn't even know that it was like, oh, I didn't catch that. Get out of here.
I just think it was. You know why I like giving you a hard time. You do the same to me, so.
Yeah, I know.
I love the chemistry here. You guys are awesome.
Thanks. Shoot, I forgot where we were.
Oh,
okay.
Annie has extra pages.
Annie just got the page. Annie just landed. She meets up with Ed. Ed's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And she's like, "Oh, I found nothing, or just maybe, a key to another dimension." She just drops it so casually. It's so cryptic.
It's like it's either some really interesting stories or a portal to another dimension.
Exactly.
It's one or the other. Okay, that's where I left off. So we cut back to Ash, and he's having like this, emotional moment where he's grieving for Linda, and the piano is just playing on its own. So this is really where we first get to see the evil kind of just psychologically torture him.
Mocking him. Yeah.
The evil is a fucked up being.
Oh, yeah. Which I appreciate that it does this a lot more in Evil Dead 2, because in the first one, it's more about torturing him by possessing the people next to him.
Yes.
This one, it's more about like breaking him down psychologically.
Yeah.
But
very in line with the times, like when this is filmed. Like I think Cabin Fever was coming out around this time, and like you had a lot of other isolationist kind of horror films.
Mm-hmm.
So this really kind of taps into that whole like zeitgeist,
Yeah, for sure. But while this is happening, we do see on the outside of the cabin that Linda's body, wakes back up, and Ash notices this, and we have like one of the weirdest scenes in the film. Like, this movie, like this section or this scene kind of freaks me out a little bit. I don't know if it's like the stop motion, but
yeah,
it's when we see Linda's decapitated body just dancing.
Yeah, I thought it was actually quite impressive the way that they were able to have the budget for it.
Yeah, the stop motion is really cool. I also love the fact that she just kind of her head kind of rolls around on its own while she's dancing, and then she just like disappears into the woods and just goes like woo. Just gets pulled back into the woods. Ash is
looking out through a little hole, and then she's like grabs him, like he's just like dance with me, and then pulls away. I was like, oh, she wanted, like okay. It was good.
And of course, we also get like the physical comedy where she just like grabs him by the clothes, by his clothes, and just starts like smacking his head against the wooden boards.
Exactly, it's another callback to like the whole slapstick thing that Sammy Raimi loves. Yeah.
And then Ash just starts screaming, and that's when we realize that he's still sitting on the rocking chair. Yeah. So you're like, wait, was this real, or was he just was the evil making him think it was real?
Yeah.
Until Linda's head just falls from the ceiling. So I'm just imagining like he's just sitting in this chair screaming, and this voice or like this head is just floating, just like waiting for the perfect moment to just drop. It's like wait for it. Okay, now.
Yeah, I love that.
But this is where we get an important moment, because when her head falls from the ceiling, it bites him. It bites him in the hand. And again, more slapstick, because she's not letting go.
Bumps into every piece of furniture in the
he just smacks her into everything he sees. And she is holding on to that hand.
Hold on to your life.
And then we also get like the weirdest line delivery. Because, like, they had to, like, ADR in a weird way, where he just, like, falls on the ground, and then he just gets the idea, and he's just like, work shed.
Yeah, and then he puts I don't know what it's called, and
I think it's a vice.
Yeah, he puts her head in the vice,
Yeah,
just puts her there, I was like, let me just look for something. It's like, oh my gosh, it was bad.
The missing the outline of where the chainsaw is supposed to be.
Oh, yeah.
It's so cartoony.
And I love that it's referenced in other stuff, too. Like, even in Outlast, in the first Outlast game, if you go to a certain work shed, you can actually find the outline of the chainsaw.
No, that's awesome. I've never played that game that well. Um that thoroughly. I gotta check that out next time.
Oh, it's hilarious because I wasn't expecting to find an Evil Dead 2 reference in Outlast of all things.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so like he goes to reach for the chainsaw. All we see is that outline. There's no chainsaw there. And he's like, okay, shit, where the hell did they put this chainsaw? And then immediately, Linda's headless body just bursts through that door. Like, what's up, bitch? Just brandishing the chainsaw.
That's like a crazy resin, like some type of casting of the body that they put on like a stick, and like as the chainsaw is like in the body, you can kind of see the hand puppeting
Oh yeah,
the whole rig from the bottom. There's like a quick shot of it. I'm just like, oh man, they were really just doing what they could to make this movie awesome, and they still did it. I love it. Like for all its imperfections, I love it just the same.
yeah. Honestly, I see it as like part of its charm.
Yeah, I agree. That's totally what it should count as.
Yeah. So Ash is able to like overpower the body and grabs the chainsaw and cuts into it, and this thing just explodes black goo all over this poor man.
Oh my god.
And in like
Again,
in like
Ash
the
is going through some
first
shit.
in the first of many scenes where Ash is just destroyed by some sort of liquid.
Poor Bruce Campbell. Oh my god.
He really like just went all out on this movie.
They put that man through the ringer, I
They
swear.
really did. So then he grabs the chainsaw. He's about to kill Linda, but then she turns back to normal and taunts him. And she's like, "Oh, you really wouldn't kill me, would you? Like, you wouldn't do that to me." And he's like, "I know." It's like,
See,
I'm like,
put-
oh my god, playing more mind games to evil.
Yep, exactly. The way it turns her back and she's crying, like, don't kill me, Ash. Like, oh my god. So heart wrenching for him.
Yeah.
I was like, why? The poor man is already mourning over you. It's just stop it. Then
Yeah.
Ash still kills Linda with the chainsaw, covering the work shed in blood, and it turns a deep red. So
Which I love because you see the blood just hitting the light bulb and the whole cabin just turns red, and it's such a cool shot.
It really is. I really like that shot.
And I love how it has continuity because when he leaves the work shed, you see behind him how it's still red.
Yep, there's like a red glow. Yep, that's true. I did like that too. It's very cool.
So then he goes back to the cabin. That's where he grabs the shotgun and grabs some of the shells. So he just kind of walks around the cabin a little bit, and that's when he sees the rocking chair. It's beginning to move on its own, and he's like, "All right, fuck, I'm going crazy. I need to pull my ass together." So, and I love this scene. So he goes to the mirror. And he's like, "All right, everything's good. I'm okay. Like, I'm gonna make it out." And his reflection just pops out of the mirror and grabs him.
Oh,
and chokes him.
No, but the line that he gives is just like, "Oh, I'm fine. We just chopped up our dead girlfriend. Does that sound fine to you?" I'm like, "Frick, I love that. It's so cool." Oh man.
And then it starts choking him. But then when they cut back to Ash, we realize he's just choking himself. Because the demons are just like messing with your boy at this point. Like they are just relentless.
Oh yeah.
And I'm wondering, like, it shouldn't be. I don't think it's too hard to do that kind of shot where Ash is talking to himself. Because I think if I'm not mistaken, normally you just take the two film reels and just splice them together.
Yeah,
that's what you just like cut them in half and then splice them together.
It's either that or they use a double, right? Because it's not like the shots of other Ash front on, so they could have a double from behind that kind of looks like him, and then have the real Bruce Campbell jump out through that little hole in the wall.
Oh yeah, but I mean like when they're facing each other.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's definitely a splice.
Yeah, which I appreciate. I love when movies are inventive enough to do that kind of stuff, especially with like Back to the Future 2 was terrific at doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that was good stuff. I love that.
But yeah, this is when we see that Ash's hand has been infected after Linda's bite. And what is probably my favorite scene in this entire movie, his hand begins to attack him.
Oh man.
Yeah, that shit was a trip.
Bruce Campbell was snubbed on the Oscar for this movie.
Oh, he deserved all the awards for this.
Exactly. Just the way he throws himself around that kitchen is just insane.
It is like the most Looney Tunes thing I've ever seen.
It's the perfect way of describing it.
But before we get to like the big, the big fight with his own hand, we cut back to Annie, and that's when she finds out that the bridge has been broken. There's no way to get into the cabin. But then we also meet the rest of our cast, which is Jake, the tow truck driver, and his girlfriend Bobby Joe. And
Bobby Joe!
and they are like the most.
The name is that though.
They're like
it's a fun country bumpkin name, you know? Just don't think about it.
Baba Joe.
Exactly.
They're like the most stereotypical trailer park couple.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It reminds me of that thing in Family Guy where Peter gets a dirt bike and he's like, "This is my dirt bike girlfriend."
Oh yes. That's exactly what that
is. Like Bobby Joe is his dirt bike girlfriend.
By the way, there's a trail. That's right. There's a trail that goes down around to that cabin. Oh my god.
And I love how they just trick him into being like, hey, I'll do it for $100, and he's like, well, I'll give you $100 if you carry my bags too.
He thinks it's just the pages and like a purse.
Like a purse. He's like, all right, no problem.
Turns out it's matched luggage.
Yeah, like the Spaceball style.
Exactly.
Oh man, and then after that too, that's after that little hilarious exchange, we cut.
I gotta say though, Jake has one of the craziest like 180s in cinema. Like I'm not sorry, that's too big to say, but he has a really big 180 in this movie later on, which is really surprising because he's really likable up until this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like up until that point, like, and then when he does flip that switch, it's so different and it's a little jarring, but like
a little bit, yeah.
But it's so sad because I really like Jake.
Yeah, Jake. Outside of Ash, I think Jake is the more interesting character too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But after this is when we cut back to Ash, and that's when he's locked in this, dangerous fight with his own hand.
Is it dangerous if it's your own hand? Is it?
Listen, that thing is breaking plates all over this man's head. It is flipping him on the ground in like a karate flip almost.
Yeah.
It even like
tries to kill him. It tries to kill him.
Oh yeah, I mean it even knocks him out at one point.
Yeah.
Which I love because you just see like the hand dragging itself and his whole body over to this meat cleaver.
Literally, they deserve everything for that scene, honestly.
And
that should make me laugh so hard.
And what's so funny is you know that it's just Bruce Campbell and just doing stuff, but like he plays it in such a way where you just believe that it's a possessed hand.
Yeah, it's just good acting. I love Bruce Campbell for that.
Yeah. And I love the fact that, like, again, like going back to the Looney Tunes thing, I think he's like pretending to be knocked out because he just waited until his hand is super close to grabbing the meat cleaver, and he just wakes up and stabs it, and he's like, "I got you."
I think it's a bit of both. I think he definitely like was a little concussed, but at the same time aware of like what the hand might do. So he was like waiting for it. Yeah. Look who's laughing now. I love that.
And then he does the most badass thing. He just grabs the chainsaw. He's like, "Fuck my own hand," and just cuts it off. And just it gets covered in blood. Which, funny enough, one of the things that makes it a little different, I think I don't remember if it's explicitly shown in the first Evil Dead, but like some of the dismemberments.
Yeah.
I think like the only like actual dismemberment that's shown is when Shelly cuts her own hand off with a dagger.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I don't think they actually show dismemberment. But this movie doesn't show any of it. It just implies it and just shoots blood everywhere.
I think it's more towards the end, but other than that, but it wasn't really like a proper dismemberment,
Yeah,
yeah, it's all off-screen dismemberment, yeah. And
it's all edited in a way like we'll get to that later, but when during the Henrietta fight.
Yeah. I know they had, yeah, exactly. There's actually a lot of choices they had to make to dial it back because they were in danger of an NC-17 rating.
Which, funny enough, they still ended up releasing the movie unrated.
Yeah, that's true.
They were like, fuck it, we can't deal with this. Just release it anyway. So after that, he's able to imprison the hand and puts a bucket on top of it, and then puts the famous book "A Farewell to Arms"
Uh,
on top of the bucket, and it's just like the funniest, like the dumbest but funniest thing.
so on the nose that it's really
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, exactly.
And he does a lot of similar stuff too. Like even in the first one where Ash is in the cellar and he just gets covered in blood by like the broken pipe. As he keeps walking, they cut to a scene or like they cut to a shot of his foot, and right next to it is just like a little box of band-aids
Yeah, exactly.
for no reason.
Yeah. It's like, ooh.
Like I kind of need that for
Yeah.
my, amputated hand that is about yay big, but
Which I love that he just patches himself up with like a rag and duct tape. And I'm like, apparently that just stops the bleeding.
Ash knows something we don't.
He's actually a survivor.
Exactly.
And again, more of like that cartoony stuff. We in the background while he's doing that, you just see the bucket move,
Oh yeah.
like off screen.
Yep. He did not do a good job of keeping that thing
No.
down.
Like I would have just sat on the bucket.
Yeah, that's what I always
and sit
thought.
there for hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's when his hand is escape, and that's when he grabs the shotgun, and he tries to shoot at it, misses, and this little bastard hand is just like fuck you and flicks him off. And I love how Ash gets so insulted and offended by it.
Oh yeah, why you little like that whole like he's constant. He's so upset with his hand. He's being betrayed by his own body part. Come on, you can't blame him.
It's like the mean
I would be
version,
too.
like the meanest version of the. I think it's also called Han in the Addams Family.
Oh, Thing.
Thing, yeah, it's like the
Yeah.
messed up like evil version of Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was thinking about earlier. I was like, that hand was later cast in Adam's Family because he couldn't deal with Ash's bullshit.
How funny would it be if he actually like they used his hand as like the model for Thing in the Addams Family movies?
That would have been great.
That would be
I
so
100%.
funny.
I endorse it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to petition.
Is this sounds from the grave canon now? Is that what's going on?
That's our new headcanon, yeah. Ash's disembodied hand is actually shown up pretty much in any other movie that has a living disembodied hand. It's all Ash Williams' hand.
Hey man, I'm here for it. I like that.
It needed to find work, okay? It's not easy for a hand in Hollywood.
He's trying to make it to big places.
And then, so he shoots at the hand again, but this time he shoots through the wall, and that makes the walls bleed because apparently the walls are alive.
Yeah.
And
The weirdest scene ever,
Yeah.
but like it plays so good into like his like ensuing insanity.
yeah.
I really like that. But it's so left field.
Which I love the fact too. It's almost like the wall got pissed at him for shooting at it. So like after it starts bleeding, you're like, oh okay, you want to see some blood, and it just shoots the most ridiculous geyser of blood all over his face.
I initially thought it was just like the hand bleeding on him because you kind of hear him that he winged it, and he's like, "Oh, got you, little bastard," you know. And you hear the hand whimpering for some reason, because it has the vocal cords to do so.
Yeah, apparently it does. Yeah.
So like I always thought it was just a hand bleeding all over him, but I'm like, that's way too much blood.
Yeah. It's just
It's
so
unbelievable.
insane.
Yeah.
Oh man. But so after he gets just destroyed in this blood, he goes to like sit down at the rocking chair, and the poor chair just breaks as soon as he sits on it.
Serves
Was
right.
that
He
chair
never does
not?
things.
And I'm like, poor guy. No, you can't
The way
even
the whole
sit
furniture
down.
starts laughing with him,
Oh
though.
my god, especially with
It
like,
is
the deer head.
She
Yeah.
was creepy.
That whole thing, like to this day, is the creepiest and funniest thing ever. I can't help but laugh with the furniture. Like especially
Yeah.
with the lamp when they like do
The
that.
lamp.
Oh yeah, where
Yeah.
the lamp is like
Yeah.
moving up and down, and I love that he's laughing with the furniture, and he's kind of like moving up and down with the lamp.
Exactly, and they have that moment where they like take a break and then
Yeah.
they start laughing again.
Yeah.
Uh, it's so crazy.
It's just like what was like the reasoning behind that scene, but also it's so worth it.
A
Yeah,
lot
have
of
you
things
watched,
are
have you watched
memorable so far.
in Cabin in the Woods? There's that scene where the girl's about to make out with the deer head or the wolf head, whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like half expecting the wolf head to start laughing
Oh
because of
yeah,
this
or
movie.
like to do something, yeah.
Yeah, oh my god, I just could not like, especially since they're a cabin in the woods. It felt very
Mhm.
Evil Dead-ish, you know. And I was like, oh, watch that wolf start laughing. Oh man,
I feel like it should have at some point.
that would have been nice. Nice callback.
Oh yeah.
To rewatch Cabin in the Woods, it would be a really cool thing to rewatch and all
Yeah.
that.
Oh
It's a good
yeah.
movie.
That's great.
Fantastic.
So out of nowhere, the sound just, the laughing just stops because Ash hears somebody at the door, and he just goes all out. He just shoots through the door.
That never burns. It's all in his head, right? Because why would
Yeah.
everything stop laughing if he? It's because he wasn't paying attention to it, right?
Exactly.
Like yeah. So it lets you kind of know that all that laughing was just going on in his brain.
Like, jeez, this poor guy.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, so he
Or-
just shoots through the door, doesn't realize what's going on, doesn't realize at first that he just shot at at the other group, pretty much scraping or grazing Bobby Joe, which would be like the most scary thing. You're about to go into this cabin, that your family owns, and all of a sudden you get blasted by a shotgun.
I should have listened for the laughing.
Oh yeah, you just hear this insane man laughing on his own.
Exactly.
So
I
then,
wonder how they even got there. Like, especially since the bridge was broken.
Well,
and it
that's
was
what,
the only way.
That's what Jake said, though, that they knew about a trail that led to the same area, and that's why they charged them the $100.
$100 feels like
Yeah.
a millionaire in the
He was
80s.
gonna say 50, but then Bobby Joe kind of nudges him. It's like,
Yeah.
no, get more out of this. These guys can pay for it.
they're doctors; they can do it. So, the rest of the group just kind of bursts in. Jake just attacks him and knocks Ash out by like punching him a few times, and I think he kicks him at some point in the face.
He does.
And then after that, the rest of the group walks in and they see, the blood everywhere and then the chainsaw. So Annie immediately thinks, "Oh shit, this crazy maniac has killed my parents."
I'm like, girl, your parents have been dead for years. Stop it. Like,
Annie's
Like-
energy in this movie, though. Oh my god, she has so much energy. The way she like scream, she's a screamer.
Oh my god! Oh yeah, she's an
Yeah.
absolute scream queen in this.
Yeah, she is. She definitely lets it loose in this movie.
I want her vocal cords. Thank you. Whenever I'm in trouble.
I killed them. What have you done? Like shaking Ash, and Ash is like dazed and just completely out of it.
He's probably just like, "What the fuck is going on? Why is this woman yelling at
Catch a
me?"
break.
Oh, when they put the boot to him to drop him in the cellar.
Yeah. And then just like throw him in there. Like they don't even put him in there; they just throw him in.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they'll kick him. Yeah, he's like on the verge about to fall in, and just when he
They
thinks he's about
just
to get
kick
up,
him in.
it's boot to the face and hits every stair on the way down. I love that.
Oh man. And so I don't know why they just like go up to the tape recorder and just play it again. For no reason.
Really attracted to that tape recorder. Like, stop it. Like, if you know, like, there's some weird shit happening, please don't. Why?
Tape recorders like catnip to the entire cast, I swear.
Yeah, so they play the rest of it. That's when they find out that Henrietta had been possessed, and she tried to attack the professor before he killed her, or so he thought. And he's like, "All right, so yeah, like I actually ended up burying her in the cellar."
That explains a lot of the activity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone's in my fruit cellar. Someone with a fresh soul, dude. Oh my god, that's Sam Raimi's brother, and that dude does a phenomenal job. I
Oh
love
yeah.
that man. I love that man.
I love that he's in like a majority of Sam Raimi's movies.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's even in other movies because they like throwing around people. I was watching Wishmaster.
Oh yeah, he's in
Have you seen
Wishmaster.
that?
Yeah,
Yeah, he dies right in the beginning of the movie.
it's like a giant box with the statue just falls on
Giant
him.
box just falls on top of him, makes
And-
him into a pancake.
yeah.
It's great.
And it's even funnier because he also shows up in Twin Peaks, and I think like 10 minutes later he's killed, and then he's put inside of a giant chess piece.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, Twin Peaks, fantastic.
Oh
man.
man, like poor Ted Raimi, like he gets
Yeah.
abuse in pretty much almost every movie he's in. Because even in like
Yeah.
the Spider-Man movies, he
Oh,
is
right.
J. Jonah Jameson's punching bag
Yep.
in all 3 movies.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh man. Yeah, I like his role in the. I know I'm not sure if you guys are covering this, but Ash versus the Evil Dead. Like his role in that too. He was pretty good in there.
Oh yeah, when he's like the stoner guy from the town, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Yeah, I forgot it. Wow, I forgot that was him. Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah, because I hadn't seen it. I've only seen Ash vs. Evil Dead once, and that was like a year or 2 ago.
Oh, I was
Okay.
watching it. It was still on TV. I was like religious about it.
I need to watch it again. It's been a little while.
It's fun. It's definitely
Oh,
different
yeah.
than the movies, but it's a fun.
It's
a fun ride.
it's like more in like the Army of Darkness vibe.
Yes. Yeah.
So now we have come to the halfway point of our episode where we're going to be going into our grave robbing facts. So now it is time for our grave robbing facts, where we talk all the facts that are behind the scenes of any horror films, television events, what have you, things that have gone into the production. So these are 10 grave robbing facts of Evil Dead 2.
Okay, so our first fact is that the large demonic head that Ash battles in the climax of the film was actually too large to carry back to California, so they just kind of left it in North Carolina and it just disappeared at one point. And a bunch of years later, they actually found it in the entrance to a haunted attraction just outside of the original shooting location in North Carolina.
So that's actually pretty neat, though.
Yeah, can you imagine? You're like, you finish filming this movie, and there's this just gigantic demonic looking head. You're like, fuck it, just leave it there. I just cannot imagine these poor people coming back to the junior high school and just being like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's just the fact that I wonder if they know that they have like a piece of the actual filming of Evil Dead 2.
I'm sure
attraction.
when whoever picked it up was like, oh, this is from Evil Dead. Like I'm sure they knew about it.
But I wonder if like the film studio ever like reached out, like, hey, you have our head. And they're like, yeah, it's in our haunted attraction, cool, that kind of thing. But our second fact is that the smoke that comes from the chainsaw is actually tobacco smoke. Sam Raimi rigged the tubing of the back of the chainsaw and blew cigarette smoke through the tube.
Yeah,
I remember watching a few of the behind the scenes for this movie, and that comes up quite often. How much tobacco they go through just to get the smoke.
Yeah, it's,
Like,
they
with
smoke like a
fog
chimney
machines
during
kind
it.
of thing.
Yeah, but I think it would have been like too thick because they were trying to go for like kind of like the gas type of like smoke that comes out of something.
Yeah.
Because I think a fog machine would have been like too thick.
Yeah, they're trying to emulate the chainsaw running, and they didn't actually want to have it run and like poison everybody with gasoline all the time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's dangerous. Liabilities.
Number 3, the tape recorder was one of the few holdovers from the original film. That's actually kind of cool. I know it was that one, and I think the Kandarian dagger is very similar to the first one. It's got at least the same handle, or the hilt.
I think the hilt itself is also from the original.
Yep.
Because I guess the actual blade you can tell it's different. It's like a serrated edge.
Exactly. Yeah, they definitely made it a little more grotesque looking.
Yeah. But then our fact number 4, Bruce Campbell completely improvised the scene where he fights his possessed hand in the kitchen. And Sam Raimi was so impressed that they just did the one take and they just used that because they're like first of all that was really cool. Second of all, I don't think it's fair that you just keep doing this to yourself.
Like, I hope Bruce Campbell got paid a lot of money because that shit looked like it hurt.
Yo, anything for the movie, right?
Right?
And that paycheck, though. So, our fact number 5, it is the scene where Ash's doused in blood was filmed by placing Bruce Campbell on the ground, turning the camera 90 degrees so it looked like he was standing upright, and poured gallons of fake blood all over him. It was so much blood that he had red snot every time he blew his nose for 2 weeks.
Which I would have used just to freak people out.
Yeah.
And be like, just go to somebody's house and be like, "Hey, do you have a Kleenex? I gotta blow my nose," and then just blow out like just red snot all over the place.
It's like, I hope you don't mind.
Number 6, the scene where Ash goes to grab the chainsaw in the tool shed. You can see Freddy Krueger's glove and nod to the first Evil Dead being shown on TV, the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I actually point that out every time I watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm just like, look, it's Evil Dead, because I can't help but do it, and it's so interesting to see like those universes kind of cross over.
Yeah.
And speaking of, we were mentioned Wishmaster earlier, and England is in Wishmaster,
Exactly.
and yeah, it's like they just like high five each other every time,
Yeah, it's I like that they kind of go back and forth because even in the first one too, when they find the tape recorder, there's that like torn poster of The Hills Have Eyes, which is another Wes Craven movie.
Yep, exactly.
So they just go back and forth with that, which I think is pretty funny.
Yep.
So would you guys consider Evil Dead part of like classic horror films like genre now?
Wait, like what?
Like classic.
Classic, like as if it was like with Friday the 13th, Halloween.
Oh yeah, definitely.
For
right
certain.
up there. Okay.
For certain.
And there's even like that whole joke how it's Evil Dead is actually part of the Friday the 13th universe or vice versa, because in
screaming.
Jason Goes to Hell, there's a little scene where I don't remember if it's a deleted scene or if it's actually in the movie, but you can actually see the Necronomicon in the movie.
Oh, nice.
So it was like an implication. It's also because they were kind of teasing that they would have like a sequel to Freddy vs. Jason that was going to be Freddy vs. Jason vs. Ash.
Interesting.
Oh, nice.
But they ended up doing it in like a comic book, I think.
I like how the Necronomicon in and of itself is a reference to H.P. Lovecraft, but like, there's no mention of any of that kind of stuff. It's just in name only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But our next fun fact here, most of the film was shot on a set built inside the gym of a junior high school in Wadesboro, North Carolina. Which, like, I'm guessing they filmed this over some sort of like either summer break or like winter break. Because I just can't imagine, like having to stop and be like, "Hey, the kids have gym class. Like, you guys gotta leave," and just leave the set.
I'm pretty sure it had to be over the summer or something like that, or they had it reserved and have them go outside like normal gym classes. Sometimes I was like, "Go outside, nothing to see here."
And it's funny too, because like Wadesboro, North Carolina, it's like the second time they actually had somebody filming there, because Steven Spielberg had used it a couple years earlier when he was filming The Color Purple.
Oh,
yeah. So Wadesboro has 2 films to its name.
That's cool.
Now every high schooler that is into horror wants to go to that high school just because. In the very grounds, yes.
I get to play gym. Where they filmed Evil Dead 2.
I actually knew. Oh man, this is weird.
That's a flex.
Little tangential flexer. I actually know somebody went to the high school where they shot most of Nightmare on Elm Street, the boiler room scenes.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Now we need to go into Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm kidding.
One of these days we gotta do a retrospective on those. That one's gonna be a long one too. So aren't there like 8 or 9 of those things?
There's like 6 of those movies, or 7. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say there's 7 if you don't count Freddy vs. Jason.
Exactly. I was about to say without just like his movies. I would say. Yeah.
All right. So our next fun fact is that the movie is often considered a remake of the original Evil Dead, and that is not accurate. However, the rights to show scenes from the original could not be obtained to recap what happened in the first film, so they had to remake and reshoot the beginning of the film, which is why, of course, it looks so different.
Yep. Which I love the fact that they always, like, every single time an Evil Dead movie starts, they have to do something with, like, the cabin and Linda.
Yeah.
Because even in Army of Darkness, that's how the movie starts as well. With,
How
like,
do you
Mary.
stop it? Yeah. Yep.
Oh, wait, Nick, I believe it is your turn now.
It is. The eyeball swallowing shot was actually filmed in reverse. Yeah, that's Bobby Joe swallowing the eyeball. It's funny if you pay close enough attention, you can actually see the fish line that they used to pull the eyeball out of her mouth.
Yeah.
So it's like a really like strong popping kind of look to the scene. But yeah, definitely in reverse to get that kind of cool flow.
At least the fishing line is not as obvious as the 3D eye popping out effect from Friday the 13th Part 3.
Oh my god. That was pretty bad.
Oh my god, it's like one of the worst effects I've ever seen in any movie.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Except for the lightning effect in the first Evil Dead.
Oh my gosh. We could have a good amount of time talking about that.
Are we not talking about that anymore? I heard it from last episode.
Oh man. And but our last grave robbing fact, this one's really weird. The original idea for the plot had Ash held captive in the cabin by a group of escaped convicts looking for treasure. Bobby Joe's death was originally planned for a man, and it would have been much more violent with him being split in half by a tree.
The whole tree thing is definitely a callback to the first movie.
Yeah. So, like, I'm imagining, would that just be, like, probably, like, the first half, it would be, like, the regular first half that we already have, and then instead of having the, Annie and Jake and all them people showing up, it would just be these escaped convicts?
I think that's probably how that would play out. Yeah.
That would be so
But in
weird,
the woods,
though.
though?
Yeah, it's a little weird. I'm glad they didn't stick with that one.
Yeah.
The suspension of disbelief is like, oh, they just happened to choose this cabin? Like, it's a little weird.
Yeah, exactly.
But this concludes our little segment of grave robbing facts, and now back to the episode.
So Henrietta wakes up, just pops out of the ground after where she was buried, and just starts to go after Ash. And just like this really, like slow pace, like moving scene where Henrietta, she just gets closer and closer to Ash, and Ash is just like, please get me the fuck out of here.
Is that the one where he's trying to escape? He's like yelling to them to let him out.
Yeah.
And then it's like she's moving like really slow. At least the scene feels like it's taking forever. So
Yeah, it's probably because she's like enjoying the moment.
Yeah, she's savoring. She likes the torment.
But at the last second, they were able to pull him up in like the most uncomfortable way, because they just grab him by the face and just pull him up.
Yeah.
Like they don't even they don't grab his hand or anything. They just grab his head.
Yep.
It's one way to do it.
Yeah. So they pull him up, and Henrietta just pops out and attacks everybody. But they're able to fight her off, and her head gets stuck in between like the cellar and the floor, and they just stomp on it, and that's when her eye pops out and goes straight into Bobby Joe's mouth.
Oh.
Standing there with her mouth open.
But that allows them to kind of push her back in, and they lock the cellar again. So she's trapped in there again. And at this point, the group is trying to figure out like what to do next. So like do we stay here? Do we find a way back to civilization? Mm-hmm. But while this is happening, that's when Henrietta kind of turns back to normal and just starts singing to Annie to to taunt her and like play with her emotions again. Which is exactly what almost happens, because Annie goes to unlock the chains, but Ash's like, don't, no, do not do that.
She sings her like a generic lullaby.
Yeah, it's like Hush. It's like the Mockingbird one.
Yeah,
Mockingbird one, yeah.
It was snowing in September. So odd that it was snowing.
You were born on September something in 1967. I'm like, yo, that bitch is that old? No, I'm kidding. Damn, who's your surgeon, please?
And that's when Annie gets all hysterical. She's like, that thing down there is not my mother. And then that's when we get Ed. Turns out he's possessed.
Yeah, no, I don't remember exactly like how did he just get like scratched or something by Henrietta?
So Henrietta actually grabs Ed tries to like kick her, and then she actually grabs Ed's face and rams him into the wall. And I think in that moment he gets his little taste of the evil
of the Deadite.
Yeah, of the Deadite. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Is a Deadite.
Which I love how he just pops up out of the ground, like out of frame.
Oh, it's great, and he's like, oh, like the perfect, like it's fantastic.
Oh, and the makeup on him too, yeah.
We are the things that once were and shall be again. We want what is yours, life, dead by dawn. I quote that so often. People in my house are sick of it. Like, you can ask Vanya. I say it pretty often.
Oh, that's great.
I second this thought.
I love that scene so much that I ended up buying like the Nika like ultimate action figure that has both of them, that has Ash and Ed, like the possessed Ed.
Oh, nice. Okay, I gotta check this out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool because like I wish I need to get like a little like stand for it so Ed can be floating.
Oh, exactly. You have to have them just kind of like prop there up there on like strings.
But that's when he comes down and Ash is able to grab the axe and just goes to town and kills Ed. And it's just spewing green blood slime everywhere because I guess when you're a Deadite, you have green blood.
Yeah, why not? Let's do it.
Exactly. Which is funny enough, it's also very similar to the shots in the first one when Scotty's killing Shelly. It's like the same close-up of the axe as it like swings down and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, apparently they want to show more of that scene, but it was like too gross. Like that's a lot of it's done off camera. But it was like too much, and they're like, "Oh, ratings, gotta keep it for the ratings."
Yep.
Which ended up being like their undoing, and they wound up like you said earlier, they just ended up releasing it unrated, which is sad.
Yeah, I would like to see like the right, like kind of like the director's cut. I guess that would be.
Yeah.
No.
That'd be awesome.
Have they ever released a director's cut for Evil Dead?
Funny, they've released like a version of the movie that has like some extra like extended scenes. Like I remember there being, I don't remember like how I saw it, but a scene where Ash does hit Ed and you see the impact where like half of Ed's face is like chopped off.
Yeah.
But I don't remember, like, there's like a version that has that. I don't remember if it's like the TV version or like a specific Blu-ray.
It becomes the international release that got that.
I think it was that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when I was reading on that, I was like, wait. When I was watching, I was like, wait. Why do I feel like there's something missing? And then I looked it up. I was like, that's what it was.
Not to spoil too much in your next episode, but that happens actually a lot with Army of Darkness. There's like so many people. There are so many scenes that people remember being in that movie that aren't in the edit, like the made-for-TV edit. So you get a lot of discrepancy. It's like, oh, what happened to that scene? What happened to this scene? But yeah, it just happens when you release it in different formats.
Yeah, like I actually haven't seen like the TV edited version because I've only seen the Blu-ray that I have, and it's like I think that's a full version because it's the Screwhead edition.
Oh, cool. Yeah, there are some. Yeah, like without getting into your next episode too much, but there are some scenes when he's in the windmill that just don't make it. That don't make it for the TV cut.
Yeah, they probably do it just to like keep it within like the commercial like breaks.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that is right after that.
The group realizes that the trail is gone, and it gets really quiet.
And we get just a masterclass in sound design and camera work. Because we get like this ridiculous like mess of just sounds, and the camera like shows the picture like all compressed and stuff, and like I love how they like the sound kind of like shifts around the entire cabin and they're all just like following it.
Yeah.
And it's just like random like the weirdest sounds too, like even like the sound of a horse running.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the only
Weird.
sound that makes sense is like the wood creaking when they show like that one plank kind of stretching.
Oh yeah, and like the sound of the grandfather clock, like the little window on it just clicking.
Yeah.
So yeah, and again, it's I think this is where we get like one of the really funny sections, but like right before that, during all that sound, one of the doors in the cabin opens, and Ash is like, "Oh, we gotta check it out." And he's like, and nobody wants to go. They're like, "Yeah, you're the brave one, you do it."
And he does
Yeah.
accompany
But
it,
Annie's like,
Annie,
yeah, Annie shows honor. She's like, "I'll go with you, don't worry."
exactly. Yeah.
Sounds like a familiar scene in the beginning. Well, in Evil Dead, the last Evil Dead. It's
Mhm.
like, oh, everybody doesn't want to go, but Ash and somebody actually goes with him this time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's when they go into that area and they investigate. But then the cabin kind of rattles, and then they're visited by the ghost of Professor Nobi, and that's when he gives you like the simplest exposition dump because like it explains everything in like 2 minutes, if even that. And it immediately is like, all right, here's what you need to do, and we're like, got it, okay, perfect, say less. Because he's just like, yeah, you gotta dispel the evil by reading from the pages from the Necronomicon that Annie had brought over, because those are the ones that contain the spell to like dispel the evil.
Save my soul
Yeah.
and your own lives.
It's like the campiest like 50s type acting.
Oh yeah, and it's set with such agony because
Oh
he's
my-
suffering in the afterlife, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's funny because he kind of looks like Pazuzu from The Exorcist, like the makeup.
Oh,
on
he
him,
Yeah,
does
looks
look
that's
like
what I
Pazuzu.
thought.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
does. Like a cross between that and Vincent Price.
Yeah, it's like really weird how they did
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting choice.
it. But during all this, we did see that at one point Jake and Bobby Joe were scared and they're holding hands. But then at one point Bobby Joe is like, "Hey, you're like holding onto my hand really tight," and Jake says, "Honey, I'm not holding your hand."
The most Scooby Doo thing ever.
So yeah, that's when the his severed hand just attacks them, or attacks Bobby Joe specifically, and she just knocks out Annie's lantern. And the lights go out, and it's almost like that scene from Clue, like when the lights come back on and there's like something changed.
Yeah.
Like either somebody's dead or something like that. But at this point, it's just Bobby Joe just said "fuck it" and just books it out of that cabin.
She was gone.
Yeah.
Then here we go again with another hentai-esque scene
Oh my
again.
god.
At least this one skips over the like straight up rape. It just like wraps around her.
Yeah, this one was a little bit more tame for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm glad
yeah,
I'm glad they went that route. Yeah,
Oh.
definitely more
Yeah,
tasteful.
that would have been way too much.
So Bobby Joe runs through the woods and is attacked by a giant demonic tree and dragged out of the woods before hitting a tree. And I like the way that it just went on the minute that you think that she's about to like hit the tree. Like I think the glass of where the books have been, like the pages of the book was contained, just shatters kind of thing. So I thought that was a
Mhm.
really nice way to kind of not show something super graphic happening.
Exactly. And as well here we get like another small, not really an exposition dump, I guess like a kind of foreshadowing as to what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's when they break out the pages of the book, and Ash notices a drawing of a great warrior that had destroyed the evil back in 1300 AD. And he's
I love it because it's definitely him. Like it's really obviously him in like a little cute little drawing.
Yeah.
And then they're like, yeah, he was said to have conquered the evil, and he's like, yeah, he didn't do a good job. He's talking about himself.
So, yeah.
I love it.
That was really cool.
And this little foreshadowing was really funny too. And I love too when she's like, "Oh, you got to read from the first passage to unleash the demon." And he's like, "Why the hell would you want to do that?"
Oh yeah.
Bring him back in like the
And then the
out
second one
into
is
the
the one.
realm and then to send it back. I was like, wait, what? But
Yeah,
okay.
To make it a thing of the flesh.
Exactly. Yeah. Then the second one is like the one that actually sends it back.
Yep.
So then after that, that's when Jake does his like 180 and just completely turns on the group. And just out of nowhere, he just grabs the page and throws him at the cellar. And it's like, there, we're done. For no reason.
Yo, for a second, I really thought he was gonna throw it in the fire that was like right there, and I was like, "Oh my god, don't do that!" And then when he goes to the cellar, I'm like, and drops it there, I'm like, "Wow, that was really fucking dumb." You know, they could just get it, but you know, they're like, "Oh, no, you have no choice." I'm like, "Bro, like we went in there without you. What makes you think that we're not gonna go in there again and get it?"
He gets him by gunpoint that time, and so they have to do what he says because he's so concerned for Bobby
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like, I get that, but like Ash just straight up told you, it's like if she went out in those woods, you can forget it. You know, like literally,
Yeah.
she's done. She's Denazo.
But even like he gets all like I don't know, like all jittery kind of when he is like taking them out outside into the woods. Then he's like calling out for Bobby Joe, but he knows that he's kind of fucked because they just stepped out of the cabin and anything can attack them at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and not only that, he beats the shit out of Ash.
Oh yeah, he does.
Like he just kicks him a few times. He just like hits him with the gun a few times.
Yep.
It's ridiculous.
Bruce Campbell again cannot catch a break.
not a single break was had by this man. Not a
Nah,
single Kit Kat was enjoyed by this man.
his hospital bill must have been expensive.
He was never given a break.
Oh man.
It's hilarious. So yeah, he calls out. He calls out for Bobby Joe, and instead of Bobby Joe, what he gets is possessed Ash. Which I guess is like it only happens when he leaves the cabin at nighttime. I guess this is like how it gets activated or something.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's never really explicitly clear as to how it works.
But you know, we could just solve the problem if Jake only had a Snickers bar. Just saying.
Well, he
I'm
kind of
kidding.
does. He kind of does have a Snickers bar in the way of the necklace that he gives Linda's necklace, right? Like that's the one thing that kind of snaps him out of it. But yeah, that boy needed a Snickers. You're not you when you're hungry. Yeah.
Jeez.
But yeah, so after Ash gets possessed, Annie runs back into the cabin, tries to keep herself safe from possessed Ash.
Yeah,
And I think that goes back and forth for a while,
which
too.
I do appreciate too, that like Ash still has like some control of like his mind, because you can hear him scream for Annie.
Yeah, I think it has to do with the necklace. Yeah,
could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is where poor Jake just can't catch a break.
Bitch boy.
Because
a new bitch boy.
Someone tries to break into the cabin again. So Annie grabs the dagger and just attacks them, and she does not realize that she has actually accidentally stabbed Jake right in the chest.
During him.
Oh yes. Oh man. And Ash just watches it happen too, because he immediately shows up in the other window.
Yeah.
Like as she moves away from the now stabbed Jake.
He's like, "Hello."
Yeah. Like reaches in and everything. Oh yeah. Classic.
But after that, Annie takes Jake back to the living room. And it puts him up.
Sorry to interrupt. I really am sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no
but
worries.
in that scene, she's dragging him and trying to shut the door before Ash gets inside, right? Ash has to go the long way around because he's outside and trying to get there. In that scene, like Jake is not like cooperating, and so like she has to slam on his legs, like pull him through, and just it's the beginning of the Jake torture scene, I swear.
The Jake torture scene.
No one talks about it, but that's what happens to that man.
Yeah, and I think Annie should have thought about that a little bit better because like she drags him all the way back to the living room, but puts him like dangerously close to the cellar.
Exactly. And he's like wailing the entire time, like,
Yeah.
I just got stabbed.
And of course, Henrietta's like, "Oof, you should not have put him that close," because she just immediately pops out, grabs him, and just starts to drag him down while Annie tries to pull him back up, and a ridiculous amounts of blood just burst everywhere.
Almost Kubrick levels amounts of blood.
That is Sam Raimi's version of the elevator scene.
Exactly from The Shining. Just
Like to the point where it's even kind of like water because it's all like foamy and everything too.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
You could tell they cut that with water.
When I was like seeing that scene, it was just like, damn, like, is that how much? Well, I know that this is just an exaggeration. I'm like, imagine if someone had that much like blood in their body. I would not.
It's ridiculous.
At that point, you're 100% made of water. You're not 80. Sorry.
No man.
Yeah, not only that, too, so after that is when Ash is able to break down the door and just attacks Annie and literally throws her into a wall and just knocks her out.
Oh yeah.
Like, no chill, he just grabs her, just like, yoink, he just yeets her.
She does get yeeted, in fact. Yeah. A yeet does happen.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and that's when he realizes that that's when he looks down at the necklace and kind of snaps out of it.
Yeah, which I love the fact that they have it shaped like a skull.
Yes, which is a throwback to the first movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. When he's getting pulled between the Linda I think it's Linda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like in the fireplace, and he's trying to grab the Necronomicon as he reaches for the necklace in that scene, it's the shape of a skull, just like it is in this scene.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like that too.
I wonder
It's
how
very
long
cool.
it took them to like position it just right so it looked like a skull. It's like shifted that way. No. It's not scully enough. Put him
Now, how
back
many
a little
times they had to
time.
do it between takes?
Oh my
like,
god.
Yeah.
Seems tedious.
That would be annoying. Yeah.
Yeah, so then he's able to return back to normal. And again, this is actually one of those scenes that gets it's different in the theatrical version because in the international version you do see like his white eyes shift back to normal, whereas in like the theatrical version it just cuts to like his back as he's just screaming into the heavens in grief, and then it just cuts to him being back to normal.
Yeah, he's like crying because he couldn't save Linda.
Yeah. So then that's when Annie wakes up, doesn't realize that he's changed back, and just starts going at him with an axe.
I'm all right.
I love that moment where she just like stops for a second and he like rests up against the wall and just immediately the axe just goes into the wall. And he's like, I just said I was all right."
I thought we were past this.
She's not over it.
No, she's not.
Yeah.
And he just like grabs her and he's like, "Look at me. I am okay. Like, do not attack me with this axe again, please. Like, look at me. You do not see me possessed."
But for how long?
Yeah,
I like that.
so then, that's when we get the just before a big hero moment when they're like, we got to get those pages down in the cellar. That's where we get, the quote that we use at the beginning, we get time to go down to that cellar and carve ourselves a witch. And we get, our little montage where we realize that Ash is like a genius engineer apparently. And he's able to jury rig.
Yo, that's my favorite. Like, I call it the Sam Raimi edit. Like, they even do it in like other movies as like a throwback, as a nod to Sam Raimi. But the whole like zoom in on the object and the subject at every shot.
Yeah.
Like, oh cool, chainsaw, cool, zoom in. Clamp, zoom in on the clamp. Chain, zoom in on that chain. Like it's very Sam Raimi, and I think Edgar Wright is a huge fan of that, and puts that in like Hot Fuzz, puts it in Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
And Yeah, so like there's a lot of like references to that,
Yeah, it
style
shows up.
because he's a big fan.
Yeah, it shows up a lot in Baby Driver too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, that's when we get that big hero moment. He puts on, the now iconic chainsaw hand, saws off the end of the shotgun, so now he's got his boomstick.
hmm
Camera zooms in on his face, and we get
Double barrel Remington. S March top of the line. Sorry, next movie. My bad.
And so then we get our famous catchphrase, which is funny enough. It kind of makes no sense because like of all the things he could have said, he just says groovy,
That's his catchphrase, yeah.
which is just it's hilarious to me because I'm like, what possessed you to say groovy of all things?
Because it was cool as hell, man. He had a chainsaw hand and a sawed-off shotgun.
Hey,
He was ready to slay every demon,
hey,
yo. That dude was ready.
I'm not complaining. I love it. I mean, it's definitely one of the reasons it's in our intro like
Nice.
segment.
Yeah.
Because I absolutely love that whole scene. I love that catchphrase. I just think it's funny how it just kind of came out of nowhere.
Oh, for sure.
Because it's such a fun way to like make fun of like the '80s action movies and like their ridiculous catchphrases.
Yeah, this was kind of like just hitting that peak. That's true.
Yeah, like the whole Predator thing when Arnold throws the knife. He's like, "Stick around."
Oh my god. Or in Commando, let off some steam, Bennett.
Oh my god.
Ah,
It's funny how
jeez.
they're all probably Arnold Schwarzenegger lines, like even in Total Recall. I'll see you at the body, Richter.
God, I'm
Hey,
stuck
hey, remember
between
when I told you I'd kill you last? Yeah, I remember Matrix. Yeah, I remember. I lied. Oh man.
No, it's funny because
Sorry.
I've heard about this one movie. There's this one like really shitty '80s action movie. It's like super low budget, and it's like pretty much a carbon copy of First Blood. And but the guy's like infamous catchphrase is "You're going to die."
Oh my god.
Like that's his catchphrase.
I now need to see this movie.
Oh, I think it's called Deadly Prey.
Okay.
And it's funny enough. It's such a like cult classic now that like years later they made a sequel called Deadliest Prey.
Oh my god.
And it was even better. It's just a carbon copy of the first one. It's the stupidest thing.
I love that.
Do it. Sorry.
So now we get a little bit more foreshadowing here because that's we cut to an exterior shot of the cabin and we see some of the trees kind of shift a little bit, the roots starting to move, which is telling of what's going to be happening closer to the end of the film. But Ash is like, all right, let's do this. He decides to go down into that cellar. He's got to find the pages of the Necronomicon.
He finds Jake's meatless body. It's just a skeleton.
Which is hilarious. So they just picked him clean.
Yeah, exactly.
So like he's able to find the pages. So I'm surprised they held up that long because they were like right next to like a puddle of like muddy water.
Yeah,
But they're
that
perfect-
water
Leather
looks
pages.
But they're
These
perfectly
are-
fine.
Because these are leather or like skin drawn pages, right? So like
Yeah, probably.
maybe they're a little water resistant. Who knows?
It's just so
Put a
funny.
little, they put a little they laminated it.
It's laminated with like people's sunburn because it's
There you
all gonna
go.
be made from like human stuff.
Exactly.
So like when you peel off your
The
sunburn, they use
finest
that.
FPS. No, wait, PF, yes. Come on.
First person shooter.
No,
This is-
I'm not even gonna fight you to not put that in the episode. It's there. It's done.
What kind of
Everybody
sunblock is
deserves to
that?
laugh.
What kind of sunblock is that? Oh, it's an FPS 30.
No,
I like my FPS at least 120. So
I want to see those. I need to be able to see the bullets. I need to gauge my reaction time. Okay.
Yo, what the fuck, dude? Anyway,
Moving on. So yeah,
yes.
he grabs the page. He's like, "All right, let me make my way back." As he's going up the ladder, here comes friggin' Henrietta. Just pops out from underneath the ladder and just grabs him by the ankle and pulls on him.
Yep.
I really like the camera work in that one because, like, as soon as like he flopped, like the camera's like following like his fall kind of thing.
Oh
So
yeah,
it
like
was
it
kind
follows
of
his face. Yeah, as it falls.
yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. But so he's at one point he does, or I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. So yeah, he's attacked by Henrietta, who then pops out of the cellar and attacks Annie like just after she reads the first passage to the incantation to wake up the evil or to unleash the physical version of the evil. But then Ash steps out and has this ridiculously fun fight with Henrietta.
It's another like testament to Sam Raimi and the Three Stooges thing. Like
Yeah,
he does like all like the little footstepping, eye poking kind of gag,
yeah,
with her, and she even after falling down gets up like shaking her fist in like furious rage, like
yeah.
why? She might as well have just said Ayayora. Like it would have been like perfect, and you wouldn't have guessed it because
For sure.
yeah, it's oh man, so
And
and like
I love the fact that it's almost like a boss fight in a video game because at one point like Henrietta takes enough damage and then just extends her neck and just turns
Yep.
into like the final form.
it's Space 2, right?
Yeah, like face to Henrietta.
Exactly. And like the ridiculous chimpanzee sounds
Oh
like the
my
entire
god.
time.
It's like weird. It's funny because it sounds like somebody doing chimpanzee sounds, not like stock chimpanzee sounds.
Yeah, that's kind of true. It's very it's B-roll chimpanzee sounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And then like they fight a bit. I love like he finally gets the chainsaw to cut her neck in half and in pieces, and the head flies everywhere, and it's on the ground. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul. I'll swallow your soul.
But you got before we get to that though, I love the fact that when he cuts her head off, the head like the body just kind of like flops around, just making fart noises.
Yeah, like a whoopee cushion. Yes, yes. That's
I
so
was
true.
like, damn,
It's
the
just like
sound design.
like you
It's
can
a
tell they were
comedy.
just having so much fun making this movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, but then that Ash just at this point he has become full on action star where Henry's like, I'll swallow your soul, I'll swallow your soul. We get him pointing the shotgun down. He's like, swallow this. He just goes boom.
Yeah. Amazing. I like how you can see the little fuse that they lit to
Yeah.
explode her head, like before it explodes.
Yeah. Oh man. So right after all this commotion, they have like literally like a not even like 30 seconds of quiet
Well, yeah.
before the trees, finally come to life and then just attack the cabin like crazy. And our main demon bursts through the cabin door, like the evil bursts through the door. And when Ash stares at it, it's such a horrifying thing that it kills the flower next to him and it turns his hair white.
It ages him a little bit. I think
Yeah,
I think that was a
it does,
smart
yeah.
choice. I think it was a smart choice because they knew that there was going to be some time between that
Mhm.
movie and their next. So like aging him meant that they could shoot a little bit later, and if Bruce Campbell looked a little bit older, it made sense because the evil
Exactly.
did that.
Yeah. Which I
Little
love because
continuity. Yeah.
for Vanya specifically, doesn't it look like the giant pumpkin puppet from Wicked Growth?
It does.
Which I
What
love.
if they just reused it? What if they reused it
Oh my god. Or like
from the Evil Dead house?
wait, does
But
the
they
big
did
head shows up in the Evil Dead house? I don't remember that house
Oh,
that often,
don't-
honestly.
I don't remember it a lot, but it could be because
Could
they
be.
used the American Werewolf in London animatronic a lot for.
Oh yeah.
They used it in Trick or Treat for the werewolf scene.
Mhm.
Yeah, so they could be. That'd be cool if they did. But Wicked Growth, Pumpkin Lord Daddy. Yeah, okay, but yeah.
Jesus.
The Pumpkin Lord's hot. I don't give a fuck.
Listen, I don't disagree with you.
Yeah, he hot. Whatever.
But yes, after Ash stares at it and his hair turns white, Annie starts to read the second passage so she can dispel it into the rift in time and space. But here comes Ash's hand again, and just literally stabs her in the back with a Kandarian dagger.
Yeah. That thing's
That hand
piece
is a
of shit.
menace.
Yeah. Yeah, you can say that too. Just calling it as it is. I hate that hand.
Yeah.
It's shit.
And I love here that Ash is a fighter all the way through to the end, because like that thing grabs him, and Ash just revs up the chainsaw and just like slams right into it and just starts like cutting into the demon's head.
Into the
And
eyes.
the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like all that fun colored blood starts spewing.
Oh
it's
yeah,
like
it's
blue.
like it's like a dark blue blood.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Or purple. I kind of perceived purple from that.
Got it.
It
was
could be like a
pretty-
mixture. It's like a mixture of different colors thrown in there at one point.
Pretty gnarly.
Yeah. But Annie is a fighter. She is able to read the rest of the passage, but then she dies. Just so sad. Because she was such a cool character.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah. But because she's able to do this, she's successful. It opens up the portal. And the first thing this portal does is just swallow the car. It's like the demon can wait. I want this car. It's a nice Pontiac.
That shows up all the time too.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's able to swallow the car, and then it swallows the demon, and they finally think, Ash is like, okay, we finally did this. It's over, and he has that cute little moment where he's like, "You did it, kid."
Yeah, like that was a little weird because I kind of, I don't know, I could be perceiving it wrong because I know that he was still mourning over Linda, but I was like, damn, like I feel like low key they were starting to start something, but I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah,
she dies.
like
Cool.
especially after he kills Henrietta, like they have like this hug, and then they kind of stare at each other for like a second too long.
Yeah,
It was hot. You could feel that shit.
Like the
Tangible.
tension.
You could cut it with a knife.
yeah.
But this is when we realize the portal itself is actually still open, and it continues to swallow everything in sight, including Ash. And he's like, "How do you stop it?"
Stop it! Pulled right in. Oh man.
Oh, and I love what they did, like when he gets pulled into it with like all these like crazy images of like. And funny enough, it looks like Christmas lights.
I swear,
Yeah.
at some point they use Christmas lights. I think
It's probably just Christmas lights.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that has Sam Raimi written all over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like it's this ridiculously just like kaleidoscope of like colors and explosions and sounds. And then we cut to this desert area, and the car just drops and just shatters. But then Ash falls and is perfectly fine.
It was
So,
a nice little landing. There was a nice little landing pad for him to fall on.
Oh yeah, funny enough, yeah. It's a very conspicuous landing platform.
Pay no attention to the man behind the flare.
And that's when we find out that Ash has been transported to 1300 AD because he is then surrounded by knights in armor, like medieval knights.
And they try to kill him.
Yeah, well, at first they were like, "Oh, look, he's he's one of them. We have to kill him." But then a horrific flying deadite attacks, and they're like, "Oh my God, look, it's a deadite!" And if I'm not mistaken, I think that's the first time they mentioned the word deadite.
It is.
And,
Yeah, it's when they're about to stab him. Yeah, like on the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so they're like,
And
"Oh,
then-
look, it's a deadite!" So they just start they just scatter.
Yep, they do. And that's when Ash jumps up, shoots the thing out of the sky.
Which I love the fact, like, this is just like a quick thing about Army of Darkness. This is this is 1300 AD. Ash just has unlimited ammo on his shotgun.
Makes ammo. But you're right. I do think he shoots way more than he made.
Yeah.
I agree.
He
I
enabled
100%
God mode.
He put it in the Konami code.
Yeah.
He just flipped the switch.
Yeah, and then of course they're like, oh, it's the savior from the prophecy. It's the one we've been waiting for.
Which is Sam Raimi in the Night Armor saying that.
Yes, I love that. I love that it's him.
Yep. This the prophecy, the one who would save us from the sky. Him and that glorious lisp.
Yes. And that's when they all hail Ash, and that's when he realizes that he is still in the middle of this nightmare, like it is not even close to being over, and he just screams, "No! No!"
I feel like those are his famous words.
Yeah.
Like he loves saying.
And that is when the movie just cuts to black. And you're like, God damn, that was a fun movie.
It felt like a completely different movie at the end for like a second. I was like, yo, what the fuck am I watching? It was still fun. It was a really fun movie.
It's unfortunate they didn't keep that. I know you guys are going to talk more about this next week. When they get to Army of Darkness, but it's unfortunate they don't keep that kind of air about that movie because they go straight into thinking he's part of King Henry's army.
Yeah, they just immediately kidnap him and like.
Exactly. So like it's almost like that scene never happened.
Yeah.
A little bit of a retcon.
But I'm okay with it just because of it leads to the pit scene in Army of Darkness, which I love. So I'll accept it.
I can't talk enough about Army of Darkness either. I can't wait to listen to you guys' episode on that. It's gonna be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to record that one. I'm excited to watch Army of Darkness again. I haven't seen it in a while.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Me who still hasn't watched it. Hello. Hi. I'm learning things. Hello.
Well, hey, you have no excuse anymore, and you have the best excuse to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's the excuse to watch it. Wow.
Yeah. But that itself is just the plot of Evil Dead 2. Like I wanna talk a little bit more of just like our actual thoughts on the movie, like outside of what we already kind of broached.
Yeah. That these two fanboys, talking their ear off, but it's fine. No, they're very passionate about the Evil Dead franchise, and hey, I liked it, so maybe I might rewatch it a few more times, even after this. So,
if I have anything to say about it, you're gonna watch it a bunch more times.
oh my god, send help!
And by send help, I just send you a copy of Army of Darkness.
Oh no.
Well, okay, to be fair, Army of Darkness it drops a lot more. Or drops a lot less of its horror for the sake of comedy.
Yeah.
Because this one 2 is like a good blend of comedy and horror, but it's still chiefly a horror film.
Yeah.
Where Army of Darkness is more of a comedy film with like horror elements.
Yeah. It even goes. I would even say it's more of like an adventure comedy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
100%.
more than a horror movie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's only horror by like the subject matter, not the tone.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it comes to not just like the Evil Dead franchise, but like specifically Evil Dead 2, like that's the one that I've seen the most out of the entire franchise. Just because it's such a blast to watch. Like I never even notice, like how long the movie is or anything. I just enjoy it all the way through.
Nice.
Because like I appreciate the fact that it took what made Evil Dead great and just improves upon it. Like it obviously it helps that they had the bigger budget. They were able to do a lot more with it. But it kind of it really just also solidified Ash as a character. It gave him a lot more to do.
Yeah, I think so too.
And like I think that's where we see, like the beginning of the icon that is Ash Williams.
Yeah, I would say so. Especially with the chainsaw hand. Like no one like you don't even have to like talk about Evil Dead as like a movie, and people just know the guy with the chainsaw on.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, oh yeah, that's Ash.
Yeah.
I mean, they might not know his name, but they always know the chainsaw and the boomstick line.
Yeah, and not only that, it's like, and like I said, you get more of his personality. Like he obviously we already know that he's by the end of it he's a badass and everything, but at the beginning he is just the goofiest guy. Like he's just a normal guy. Just like thrown into this ridiculous and like insane situation.
Yeah.
and get beaten up a lot.
Oh my, a lot is an
Literally the
understatement.
evil's bitch. Ash's Twitter name should be the evil's bitch.
Oh my god.
He gets tossed around more than a beach ball at a Nickelback concert.
Jesus. I love that. Yeah, but when it comes to this movie, if I have to give it like a rating, it's again, I never give any movie a 10 out of 10, but the closest I will give it is a 9.5. Just because there's always something that I will question or something that I will nitpick about, so that's why I can never give anything a perfect score.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
But I will the highest grade I can possibly give it would be a 9.5, and it's very well deserved.
I think I'm up there with you. It's definitely a high 9 for me. Definitely sets the tone for a lot of movies like the follow up from this. Not just Evil Dead, but just like the horror genre in general.
Mm-hmm.
Like not being afraid to like make fun of itself at times and kind of have that tongue in cheek humor. Like you can still be funny and still be a horror, you know, and
Yeah.
that's something that it kind of teaches people later on in film that they can venture into a little bit of both and it can be like it because up until then film horror is kind of a serious genre. It's very serious.
Yeah, it took
Like,
itself very seriously, yeah.
Yeah, because the macabre is something that people don't really like take lightly.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was like a great film to actually just laugh at yourself for about it. It's like we're surrounded by death and like decapitations and dismemberment, but hey,
We're having
isn't
fun.
it funny when you slip on that blood because there's just so much of it?
Yeah.
Like I think it did a lot. It paved the way for a lot of movies to come
Oh
after
yeah.
it.
Yeah, I would even say it's like closer to like a precursor to New Nightmare and Scream and that kind of movie where it's very self-aware.
Oh yes, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Don't even talk to me about Scream. I could go hours for that one too. I love Scream.
That one actually, yeah. Later on, we're probably gonna do a retrospective on that one to kind of celebrate, Scream 5.
Oh yeah. Oh man, I preach Scream 1 and 4 all the time. Like 2 and 3 are like but 1 and 4 I think kind of like hit that mark of like the comedy and still being scary.
Oh yeah, for
like
sure.
they were great for that.
Yeah, I haven't seen 4 in a long time. I need to rewatch that one.
Yeah, 4's okay.
Yeah.
Number 1 is still the best one.
Oh yeah.
But 4 is okay.
Yeah, because I saw the first 3 when they put them on HBO Max, but for some reason they just didn't have the 4th one. I think it's because it had a different distribution company.
Probably. Yeah, I think it was New Line Cinema up until that point, and New Line got bought out
and then
by
it was
Mirror.
Dimension after that. I think for 4 it got Dimension Films or something like that.
Okay, that's what it was.
Yeah, but yeah,
But-
anyway. Continue, Vania.
Yeah. But for me, I would give it a 9 out of 10. Because sound design wise, like it didn't have to be completely serious. It was like super fun to watch, especially like the random sounds. I kind of like that entire thing. The animation for it, like the stop motion, was really great, and of course the fact that it was just really fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. Like I actually didn't feel like time was dragging. I generally enjoyed this movie like throughout the entire production, so it was cool.
For sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's well, you remember when we did the MegaCon after party where I went as Ash that one time, but of course
that
it was
everybody
like,
now refers to you as Dad.
yes,
now.
because it literally looks like I'm just a dad because it's just a blue shirt with blood spatter and tucked in. That's it. That's all it is. But damn it, I tried. Okay, I didn't have any resources. I tried.
Yeah,
Especially because I wanted to get because you can get like a replica chainsaw hand prop that you can use from Etsy, but they're like $450. I'm like, I don't have $450 to spend.
Shit.
Yeah, that's
I wish I did, but I can't.
One day
Sure.
you will. You will do the thing.
I should just walk. I should just walk
believe in you.
around with my journal because I have a journal that I bought from Redbubble that's it's got a pattern made to look like the Necronomicon.
Cool.
So
Oh,
I
that's
should just
cool.
walk around with that.
Just make sure you grab the right one and say the right words, right?
Yeah.
Latu, Barata.
So, what are some things that you guys liked and disliked about the film if you were to nitpick at some things?
When it comes to the things that I absolutely enjoy, the cinematography is by far incredible. Like there's, when it comes to just not even horror movies, but just movies in general, the cinematography is just so out there and so inventive that it really is a kind of a character in its own. And not to mention Bruce Campbell's just physical acting is insanely good. Hello.
Hello, Nick,
Oh.
are you alive?
I'm here. I just thought he was gonna give his
Oh,
and
I'm
he
sorry.
didn't like. My bad.
Oh yeah, okay. I'll redo it. I'll redo that part then.
Worries.
Yeah, but when it comes to the stuff, I wouldn't say I don't like it. It's just stuff that I feel like there are certain moments where the movie kind of drags just like a hair. Usually, and it's right around where it's just focused just on Ash kind of going crazy. I think there's a
Yeah,
certain point where like there's a little if they can edit a little quicker, it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, I do
But
think it suffers from a little pacing. There's a
yeah,
little bit of a pacing issue in that part of the movie. I agree.
yeah. But outside of that, that's really like my only like nitpicky thing that I have that I don't particularly enjoy.
As for me, as far as the things I like, um, I mean, the overall campiness of the movie can't be overstated. I love it.
Oh yeah,
Um, I love the tone on everything. Like, even though it's this crazy life or death situation, it never seems too far away from comedy, and they nail that. And I love that. Like, it's a strong juxtaposition, and it just like feels fun like the entire time, the whole way through. To be nitpicky about it though, I think it's like Yusuf just said. It's kind of like the pacing with when Ash is going a little crazy, it drags just a bit, and also there's some editing choices that like are end up being a little jarring because of the switching between like focus for instance. They're heading towards the cabin. Like we know they're driving towards the cabin, and then we get a shot of the cabin, and then the next thing you know, they're already inside, and Ash is playing the piano.
mm-hmm.
There's like no transition there. It's just we assume that they already settled and are okay with the current state of the cabin when we all know that cabin is like garbage. So it
yeah,
just so I feel like there's just a little bit missing there as far as like fleshing out the setting, but and how the shot and how the editing kind of hits there, but nothing so drastic to make me like hate the movie in any way. Like it never like puts a bad taste in my mouth, and by the time you realize what has happened, we're already moving next to the next part. So I think it's pretty cool. I really enjoy even its faults. Like it's a great. I don't know. I can't say enough about this movie.
yeah. I think when it comes to is everything that you guys said, but the thing that kind of was catching my eye a little bit when I was watching this film is that the cabin, of course, I know the original cabin burned down after they had filmed the first one, but like when we see the, I guess like kind of like a replica in the one in the gym, like the cabin almost looks more blue than warm tones, which it makes me feel like they made it out of a completely different material, not just the actual cabin thing. I was just like, it feels like we're in a different place rather than the place that he had escaped in the first movie.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks like completely different. I was just like, I wish there was like they actually kept, if they remade it, they would have like kept like the original wood looking parts, and but because it felt almost like more metal in that cabin rather than the first one, which was kind of weird. It threw me off a little bit, but other than that, everything was, other than the really long things that they could have done quicker things. But yeah,
yeah. I will say I actually kind of liked the cabin just because of how well they recreated the original cabin from the first one.
yeah,
Like it is spot on. Like just so like people that don't know that much about it, they really I feel like they wouldn't have even noticed a difference.
And that's fair. I just kind of noticed that it just felt like the different. There was like a different like tint to it when
Mhm.
that kind of thing. I was like, oh, this isn't. I know it's not the same one. It was good to be able to manipulate like their space and be able to have more to play around with anyway. Because I don't
Yeah.
know how much more room they had in the first cabin rather than their remade one. Because there's a imagine like there's a lot more rooms that they probably didn't even get to like play around in. So
Mhm.
they probably like recreated to be able to have all that um
Space and
way space to be able to like do the chase scene between the evil and Ash, because that was like really good like consistency when it was like doing the camera work of following Ash until the evil lost him.
yeah. I think a lot of the times too, at least the color of the exterior probably has a lot to do with like just like the color choices, like the color correcting and the visual tone that they decided to use for the film too. Like not necessarily the color of the cabin,
Yeah,
because it definitely
color
has.
correcting is a bitch.
Yeah, especially at the time, and people still do this, where color correcting something to a blue tone just signifies nighttime. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I mean, that goes back to like even comic book days, like
yeah,
using dark colors, using black ink like on black didn't help. So like Batman was like drawn with blue cape, but it's not because his cape is actually blue,
yeah,
but it's because it was just a different shade of black to tell it from the backdrop, you know.
hmm
And so it's just easy for the eye to pick up the difference there, rather than just having it all be the same color.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but do you guys have anything else to add regarding Evil Dead 2?
No, I think we've said a lot.
Yeah, we
yeah,
have.
we
This
did
is
that one.
this has been quite the episode, and I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I'm glad you guys had me. This has been fun.
Oh yeah, we definitely gotta do it again.
Awesome.
All right, so with the end of this episode, I believe it is now time for us to do our housekeeping. So we are going to start with Vania.
So hi guys. This is Vania here. Hello. You guys know me from the other hosts of the Sounds from the Grave. No, I'm kidding. You guys already listened to me enough. So will be able to find me on YouTube and Twitter at HHN Cultist, where I cover anything with makeup, horror haunts, theme parks, that kind of thing. So if that's something that you're interested in, yeah, just reach out, subscribe, follow. I do fun things, and yeah, but there are other interesting people on this podcast. So I'm gonna go. Where can we find you, Yusuf?
Yes, you can find my personal on Instagram at Yusuf1220 and on Twitter at itbeyusuf. And then for our podcast, you can find our socials on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Yes, Facebook and Instagram are working, so you can actually find us on those now. And we also do have our YouTube channel as well, so you can subscribe to that because I do have some potential stuff that I'm working on that might be released pretty soon. Um, and for our podcast, you can listen to us pretty much wherever podcasts are available, whether it's Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcast, Google, Castbox, pretty much anywhere you can find it. And then we also have our email, soundsfromthegravepodcast@gmail.com. So you can always shoot us an email if you want to talk to us about anything or if you want to be on an episode. And actually something that we just posted on Twitter today, we are looking for a guest host for our Army of Darkness episode. And so if anybody's interested in being in that one, just let us know and we'll squeeze you in.
That's good. Nick, do you have anything that you want to promote or anything?
I mean, nothing to really promote, but if you guys want to, talk Evil Dead or any other horror stuff, you can always find me at NerdTechHeart on IG, and that's pretty much the only thing I'm on. Yeah, NerdTechHeart. Yeah, that's me.
All right, so I guess it is time to call this an episode. So we will bid you guys good day or good night for whenever you're listening to this, and that you stay spooky.
Stay spooky.
Bye, everybody.